Who's hosting?
It's always you. When you're on, it's always you.
He
always asks, even though he knows.
I know. I was gonna lead in with a pretend story and just start roaring my head off laughing for a change. So, but I won't. Good evening, welcome along to the forum. It is, of course, Monday night. Gav is with us straight from doing the Football in the World show, where he was talking to everyone about football in the world.
Our favorite things.
What was it about tonight?
It was just basically any mad stuff you know about football, mad incidents, goals, wherever it might be. I mean, we ended up in a game between two teams in an Indonesian league that kept scoring own goals, both teams, because they didn't want to play against Borneo FC because Borneo are backed by the mafia, and they didn't want to play them and possibly win. We ended up there, and we ended up fucking loads of different places. It was deadly.
There we go. That's it. And anyone that's tuned in there in the comments, you need to be watching Football in the World. It's a great old podcast and video. It's actually way better than this show. We've been doing this way too long at this stage. I much prefer Football in the World. Tonight on the forum, we're going to be talking about 4 different things. You know the format at this stage. Joining me up in the top corner there, that isn't Gav, is Andy. Andy, I don't know what type of... You're looking different tonight. You don't have your hair done. You look like a fella who's just gotten off a plane after a weekend away in Portugal playing golf, right? That's it. You're a bit rough shaven, and you haven't been focusing on your lighting system, and you've got the television going on in the background that everyone can see in the window.
Black Friday week. Andy's up to his eyes.
Hang on, I'll turn off the telly.
What are you watching?
I'm not really watching that.
He was watching.
Golf and a celebrity, get me out of here.
He was watching Sia in concert. He was, and then down below Andy, of course, is our one and only resident Scouser, Ray Dicko Dickinson. Ray Dicko Dickinson this week has been taking the Benjamin Button pills. You'll notice he had a shave and he's let his hair grow out like a naughty school child, and he's looking about 20 years younger, and he's put on a tracksuit top as well. So fair play.
Ray Dicko's hair was the absolute highlight of the lockdowns. The last time we came around, and this is why I want another lockdown in Ireland, because when we get a lockdown and the barber's closed, Ray Dicko just goes mad looking, and he sends you a picture of his hair and he looks fucking fantastic. So
David Lennon mentions baby station, so there's the young fella on the monitor there. He's in the crib at the moment, and
oh yeah, because you got real upset last week, didn't you?
Well, he was fucking waffling on, and then Chris Brack put in a bogey round, which didn't a whole lot. And I was like, I have to feed this baby by 11:30. So for anyone watching, we're gone well by 11:30 at this rate.
Phil's kid was starving, right? Phil's kid was starving when we were doing a quiz, and it turned out that the answers we were given was for the wrong year, and it was going on for about 40 minutes. And then we worked it out. It was
getting the right answer, and that's it. So, right, look, lads, tonight we're going to be talking about 4 things. Andy wants to talk about red blowers or the red rifle.
The what?
And red rifle, red blowers, something.
What red rifle?
Exactly.
The red blower.
The red blower. Well, the red rifle fires the red bullets, and the red bullets are all red blowers, and they're all running around the pitch. Then I'm going to talk about. I'll come back to that in a minute. Gav, you want to talk about replacing the front 3, and then
why would you want to do that?
It's not about just getting.
You're fucking insane, Gav. You've become one of these FSG out fellas, and you're just shouting things at cameras.
His topic is the fucking front 3 every bleeding time.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I need to replace this. Or Klopp replace 4 years time. Blah blah blah.
It's bollocks.
You fucking can't.
Listen, Listen,
a realist living in 4 years time.
You're just up in the clouds. You just relax. Yeah, relax.
The clouds are grand at the moment. Did you watch Liverpool at the weekend?
Yeah,
shut your mouth then.
I even got the score watching the game on Google. And Ray Dickinson, you want to talk about squad depth?
Here we go, straight from the swamp.
We're gonna try and put a positive spin on it.
All right, okay, sorry.
See, Andy hasn't read anything today because Andy literally comes on in the morning and says, "Yeah, I'll do it," and then puts it in his topic, sticks his phone on airplane mode so he saves his minutes, and then comes back in at 2 minutes to 10 and doesn't know any concept of what's going on or any background thought of what's going on, and then just shouts at people. And now you've seen it happen again.
So we've been awake since 3 o'clock this morning. So if I doze off halfway through, it's not because I'm bored of what you talk about. Just I'm actually exhausted. But my topic's going to be about Steve Bruce being the next Manchester United manager. I had a big, huge, long topic about empires and dynasties and one and done. And Gav told me, now you have to talk about Steve Bruce becoming the Man United manager. And I was like,
it'd be absolutely phenomenal.
To be fair, I thought this
I
started
think he
off.
did a good job.
Yeah, I thought this was just one of Mad Sol Campbell just throwing something out there, but it's like it's starting to gain legs. Steve Bruce himself has come out and said he reckons he could do a job for 6 months or so as the United manager. So I'm all in. I think Brucey should be named. Brucey and Moyes.
Brian Robson of this parish has the best idea of them all, doesn't he?
Well, I think if Brucey gets the job, he'll need to bring Brian Robson in as assistant manager and Terry Venables in as advisor. That'd be a dream trio.
Brian Robson's idea behind sorting this Manchester United fiasco out is the best one.
Is to bring the lads. The lads need to go out on a booze up just to get a bit of team bonding and team morale going again and sort everything out. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It worked for United well in the 80s, so I definitely think they should follow that line. Definitely 100%. Right.
Has Dwight York applied? Because he seems to throw in the.
Oh, don't know what Dicko said there. I don't know if Dwight York has applied.
No.
Yes, Dwight York applied. He always throws his hat in the ring when Villa look for the new manager. He just needs to change tact a little bit.
What does he do? Does he put like a notification on his phone, like just let me know when Villa sacked the manager, and then he just has the CV ready and he just says send.
He just lobs it off.
I have to say the best thing I've seen all day long was that 1897 snow fight in Paris that I sent on to Andy. Somebody has found like an old video footage from 1897 and they are horsing snowballs at each other, right? And right towards the end of it, you see a fella trying to cycle through the snow. I go, this is mad. This is 1897, and the lads start lamping snowballs left, right, and center. He falls off the bike and he's trying to go.
1897 snow fight.
It's
a color camera. Amazing.
Well, no, they colorized it. They got your man that lives up in Cavan to colorize it for them. So it's but it brings it all home. So
here comes Andy's skeptical. Andy's going to CSI the fuck out of that video, and he's going to find the fucking Ford Mondeo parked on the corner.
Probably the first time.
Flying cars.
Flying cars.
There's an investigation like that.
Remember your man with the Titanic that had a mobile phone? There's a picture.
Don't go into the Titanic. Don't go into the place. I have
Supposedly it is, yeah.
Constantly listening to Carl Torley talk to me about the Titanic and the conspiracy theories, and then blames it on Damo and says Damo said it. So I'm not going into that. The Titanic. I used to like the stories around the Titanic until Carl Torley started talking.
I still can't get over your man with the mobile phone though. Like that's the bit that always gets to me now. So he's a time traveller supposedly, and he popped up. He was also holding the gun.
I've seen Damo up on TikTok.
Charges.
No, he was in Butler's not wearing his mask. Did you see him? They were giving out to him.
Damo's the crack. I go on Facebook and Damo does be having a rare with FM 104 listeners.
Damo has one of those, top listener fucking symbols on the Adrian Kennedy phone show comments.
He's a direct dial. Adrian Kennedy lifts. He has one of those red phones. It's the Damo line. He just picks him up to put him straight on air.
Damo's fucking gassy. He's fucking great.
Right, lads, where are we? First topic, Andy. Red blurs. Red blurs. This is your topic. I thought at the time you said it, I was like, oh yeah, this would be a good topic, and we have a great chat about it and everything like that. But like,
why did you think that?
What?
Why did you think that?
Because like a little soundbite like red blurs, I can see you being all over it. So that was the main reason you chose that. Go on.
Yeah, okay. Well, I thought it was great when I heard Trent saying red blurs. What?
This is the way you said that. Oh yeah, okay. I thought it was great.
I did. I thought
absolutely genuine when you say that. That's a bit.
I thought it was so good that I'd misheard it. I thought I had to rewind it back to make sure that's exactly what he said. Because just for Trent, he's just talking. You know what I mean? He's just talking about the game. And for me, just a throwaway description, but for me, it describes things really well. Opposition players and managers it being inciting and the intensity that they experience in Anfield, since Klopp's reign began, and talking about being suffocated and not having a moment to think. And what the term red blurs proves to me is what Klopp is drumming into these players, and they want you to just suffer at their mercy all the time. They want you to, they don't want to give you a second. They want to force you into your own goal and into their own goal. And I just think it's an incredible mentality that, and it's an unbelievable achievement that still after whatever 5 seasons, he still has them motivated. We talked about whether Klopp would be able to maintain that same sort of level of motivation, but he still has those players going absolutely bonkers, running around and that the opposition can't even see straight. I think it's great that a player comes out with that comment, to describe something as just a throwaway. Yeah, they were playing against Red Blurs, and I just thought it was really significant. I don't know what he is agree.
Gav, is there a function here to the stupidity of Arsenal that allows us to swarm them? Joint Asian hornets go flying all over them, and just
we spoke about it last night in the Fatback Four about Arsenal, and people were. I've never seen it's a long time since I've seen Arsenal fans approaching a game between Liverpool and Arsenal at Anfield and being this confident going into what was coming on Saturday. There was loads of them going around going, we're playing this football and we're playing that, and our keeper, and they were putting like combined 11s in, and they had it was fucking outrageous. But do you know what? I said it last night. Arsenal had 2 approaches yesterday or Saturday, and both of them are awful. The first one was to play, basically try annoy us and frustrate us, and then the second one, when a goal down, was to make the pitch even bigger and more open, which just didn't work. And that's where the red blow thing comes from Andy. Like, at the end of the day, I don't give Arsenal any credit for what they done on Saturday. I really don't. I think, do you know what? I like the mix. Like Andy's talking about red blowers and Trent and all that stuff. But we seen earlier on the season, Liverpool went out like a house on fire against Milan, if you remember, and tore them apart. And Klopp says we went away from what we were doing good and ended up going in behind at halftime, I think. And it was like the balance wasn't right. I love the balance on Saturday. 30 minutes, we were being frustrated, but we were never under any threat, and we were feeling out the game. And then once we got the goal, Phil, like Liverpool were never losing that game, not in a million fucking years, because they figured them out. Their manager went and done something silly to fire up Liverpool even more, and then Liverpool seen out half time, and then obviously went in and said, right, this, and this, we're going to do it. And that's where that whole red blow comment comes from, because second half, Arsenal are so naive, but Liverpool are just swarmed them. And the mix of 30 minutes being looking into a game and 60 minutes absolutely putting to bed, I think is perfect. And it's not what we haven't seen enough of from Liverpool this season.
Well, just as might as well jump in there for a second. Just on that, we talked about the approach of Liverpool this season. They're certainly playing a more risky type of football. And I was kind of thinking, yeah, like at times it's not working out. We've seen teams come back with 2 goals down. But eventually, kind of Klopp gets these things right, and the players start to get these things right as the season progresses. That Arsenal game was near perfect, in terms of swarming them, those red blurs that they were up against, but they did everything defensively as well. They were able to mop up. They were making the challenges. Firmino was probably the best he's been. Thiago was excellent. The midfield was really good. There was so many good things to take away from the game. Okay, Arsenal have had they've been on a decent run, but they haven't really beat anyone decent. But we made absolute cannon fodder out of them, like made them shy.
Yeah, we were more measured, Phil. I think that's what it comes down to. On Saturday, we were more measured. Like we've had a few where we have tried to blow teams away, and we might have been out, but we haven't quite been in that position. And then teams have they've hung in there, I guess, like a boxer who've sort of weathered the first 5 or 6 rounds, then a hole, but they managed to climb back out. I think Saturday and it was probably deliberately, we were a little bit more measured from the start. One thing I've never been convinced about Arsenal is, their ability to sort of, play it out from the back from goal kicks. And, time and time again, we made them create some of their own problems. And, they continue to persist with it, and they obviously have success with it against teams who aren't as good as us in terms of that press. But on Saturday, they just came unstuck spectacularly. And it didn't happen in ways that it's happened in the past with Arsenal, where we've come out and we've, blitzed them 4-0 up or whatever in 20, 25 minutes. We just slowly, ground them. You know, it was like it was a death by 1,000 cuts, really. And I think that was probably, you know, what Andy was touching on there is the fact that, you know, we've kind of gone away. We've gone away from how we've been approaching games the last few weeks, and we've come up with a slightly different plan. But look, it's still resulted in a comprehensive victory. So that was what was most pleasing for me at the weekend, that we didn't have to go out there and try and blitz them from minute one, you know.
Sorry,
Ray,
Phil, just before you go, Ray said it's different. It's the intensity that's different for me, because I've watched games Liverpool over the last, West Ham, Brighton in particular, where Liverpool were stepping off them and saying, well, let them play, let them get into these positions and let them see what we can do against us. And we just didn't allow that yesterday. Whereas we were letting teams into advanced positions and play their game. We just didn't let that happen yesterday. We just literally went and said, no, we're much better than you, and we're going to show it in all aspects of this game. And Liverpool just need to, what they done yesterday, intensity wise, if they need to keep that up, if they keep that up, they'll go very, very close to everything.
It wasn't like the Brighton game though, Gav.
Andy, can I just, because I think there's a key function in this game that people have gone over the top with, because that's what most of the gobshites that exist in social media does, because everything is either the most amazing thing in the world or it's the shittest thing in the world. The truth somewhere lies in between. So the platform that allows us to do anything we did against Arsenal is the midfield, and it's Thiago, it's Ox, it's Fabinho, right? Fabinho's been criticised in the last couple of games because he seemed to be a bit slow and off the pace, and this is what I want to, I think it's where you're going with this, Andy. In reality, though, Fabinho's always taken 2 to 3 to 4 games to get back up to speed after a knock, right? And this has been no different. And Thiago coming back into the team, we've seen that the impact he had in the previous match as well, when he comes in and starts spraying the ball around left, right, and centre. This is just him picking up from where he left off last season, towards the end of the season when he came back from injury and got himself into that rhythm. But for me, I thought the Oxlade one is the most interesting. I know he still hasn't completed 90 minutes since 2018 for us, right? But I think the most surprising aspect of the game and this whole red blur idea was the intensity that Oxlade was able to play with, particularly in the start of that second half. And if you don't have the 3 guys with those high energy levels, or the ability to have those high energy levels in midfield, then it does slow down. And the issues that arose with West Ham and with Brighton can become apparent, because as much as I like Curtis Jones, he can be guilty sometimes of taking too many touches off the ball, or being a little bit sort of learning where to play. I'm not going to say lazy, because I don't think it's lazy. I think it's, again, about understanding how Klopp wants to play. When they go into that 100 miles an hour, we press literally anything that moves on the pitch. So if it's the ball boy, if it's a flag, if it's the linesman who gets the ball, whoever it is, 2 players immediately press him. This suddenly changes what's going on. So for me, that to me is the key difference, and it's the key thing that allows us to do this type of pressing, which has been the trademark of this Klopp side for the last 4 years since we were any use.
Yeah. I mean, the midfield worked very well together. Like individually, all had good performances, but it was the way they pressed in such a unit, and this kind of targeted type of pressing. And I think, like, we often question, like, why is Ox still at the club? Why could they sell him in the summer? Maybe fund another transfer. But it's because, like, Klopp's kind of warms to certain players like Ox and Lallana, because they just get it. They're injured a lot, but they get it. He knows he can rely on them. He knows they're going to listen and do exactly what he needs them to do. And look, that was Ox's best game in probably 2 years, maybe, since he got injured against City. But that's why Klopp has kept him around, because if you can keep him fit now, it's a good option to have in midfield, especially he can put in performances like that.
The unit thing is huge.
Unit thing is huge,
because it for me, the press has never gone away, but it looked, for me, in certain games this season, disjointed, and it starts to come across as Liverpool, showing a little bit of disrespect to teams. No, I'm not saying you can't disrespect teams, because they are better than them, but show it in the right way, where you just go out and beat them. But I think it's looked a bit disjointed this season, and it's looked a bit like 1 or 2 might press him, 1 or 2 mightn't, and we'll give him a bit of room, and they've got punished at times for it. But the thing on Saturday, and Phil's right, you don't go completely over the top over it. It's 3 points, and we're still 4 points off the top, but it's a good win against Arsenal. But the thing for me coming away from that game was, everyone was doing their job right. Nobody looked like they were laying off or standing off things. They were just on it. And that's huge because genuinely Liverpool would be nine times out of 10, 9 times teams out of 10, if not 10, if they play like that, if they play with that intensity, because their ability will shine through then and they'll take people apart.
Right. I don't watch most of the post-match interviews, analysis, anything like that.
Don't watch the match either, Phil.
No. I rang Cowie Jusins to get
he watches Shouty Fan TV.
Yeah, I watch Shouty Fan TV. That's the best way to watch the match.
Fan media.
half five on a Saturday, Phil, is most definitely watching college football in America.
Fact. 100%.
100%.
But you can rewatch the Liverpool game. So, you know what I mean? So,
of course you can.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean you can't see what happened. But I don't know if you're there because you've frozen on us again down the swamp there. But I just want to, just asking, because I don't, right? It was the first time I heard Alexander Arnold speak after a game, right? And I was baffled. I wasn't expecting that voice. You know, when you see somebody and you're like, I've never heard him talk in an interview or do anything. I just don't listen to the stuff, right? Because they tell you nothing. So to echo Andy's point, I was amazed when he talked about red blurs and stuff like that, because you don't normally get any real honesty out of teams. You don't get a player being saying anymore, look, they were pretty fucking shite, and we put our foot on the throat and we just squashed them and they couldn't deal with us, right? Like you just don't get that, right? It's always like, oh, it was a tough game and we just applied ourselves and all that. No, but I was still amazed. Like I was closed my eyes and I was there going, that isn't what he sounds like, is it? Because you know when you picture a voice with somebody and it's completely off. So, don't know.
Okay, he's getting pretty good in front of the camera, I have to say.
Do you reckon he'll have a decent career as a pundit?
I think he'll have a decent career as a captain one day, because I remember Stevie was a little bit timid back at the beginning, and look how much of a strong personality he is now. Look how he's come into that job, that Villa job, and just take ownership of the club, of this position. Compare him to, say, Ollie. You know, it's unbelievable. But back when Stevie was only Trent's age, he was a little bit timid when he was on camera. And I think Trent has really grown into that sort of face of the club.
It's an interesting angle. It's not one I actually considered, to be honest with you. Obviously, local lad, expect him to be around for the bulk of his career, and why wouldn't he? You know, like, why wouldn't he potentially step forward? Like, he's in that age bracket where he's going to be around longer than, you know, quite a few of the, you know, candidates to kind of step into Henderson's shoes. So why wouldn't you maybe look to sort of mold him into the sort of the face of the club for the future, sort of thing? I mean, he's I think that interview, that to me says, you know, the lads, you know, they were stung that defeat, you know, before the international break. It was 2 weeks they had to kind of stew in it. I know they went away on international duty, but I think, you know, when they got together as a collective again, I think they were desperate to get things back on track quickly. And, you know, we had the perfect opponents in some ways against Arsenal. And, you know, I think it bodes well for the next few weeks, because there's a real tough road ahead now in terms of like the fixture pile up and whatnot. And just back on the midfield, like I'd actually be amazed if that mid three played again as a combination this season, just the way that, you know, things pan out in terms of injuries and other players coming back and rotation and so on and so forth. So as good a performance as it was from that midfield three, they might not actually get the opportunity to play again and show us what they can do as a combination.
Can I just ask about the Jota goal? Like, we score loads of goals, but like that one is one of my favorite for a long time, because your man Mike White goes flying past him. Like, the move to jink past him is just fantastic, and then Harry Ramsden is fucking Malone. And go, look, what's he doing? He just dives out of the way. I was a goalkeeper. I was waiting when they showed it from behind. The first time I said, "Oh," it was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And what trick, what move, what does he do to make the goalkeeper just dive the wrong way? And I was just like, "Oh, nah, That's Vegas mafia shit written all over it. Like every time I watch it from behind the goal, there's no jink, there's no turn, there's nothing.
No.
It's just like
I think when you put a player in his hole, the next thing is a strike, you know, and I think he was just anticipating the shot.
But
I think it's a definite case of, you know, when you hear this thing about forwards, and they've spoke about it, like all the great forwards talk about how time slows down for them. That they're that cool in front of goal that they're not. There's not things are going a million miles an hour. They're just me and the goal and the goalkeeper. And I think it's a massive case of that, because he takes the first one inside. Ben White goes into the cop, he fucking slides that far. And then if you watch it, he just puts his right foot towards it. And the keeper, everyone thinks he's shooting. Not only the keeper, everybody. And then he just drops the shoulder, moves it with his left foot, and taps it in. It's a clear case of him just being in complete control of what he's doing, all his surroundings, and it's a brilliant goal. It's a brilliant.
Ben White was on one of those wet slides, you know, the GIF.
Yeah,
where there's a fella just sliding along for ages. He's on one of those.
I'm still trying to. I keep looking at the fucking what's Ramsden doing. He just like top class goalkeeper. Alisson doesn't dive out of the way. Like I'd expect that out of Mignolet. Do you know what I mean? Like
I would say the vast majority of keepers would have done similar. Simply because of the way Jota's body shape, when he goes by Ben White, you can see his right foot on the ball as if he's about to do it, and then he just drops the shoulder and goes that way. I think the vast majority of goalkeepers do similar to what he's done.
To be honest, he kind of went a bit early with his celebrations, didn't he? You know, in the first half, Ramsdale, like he thought it was one of those days where he was going to save everything. Basically, you know, he celebrates there when he makes that kind of double save.
Yeah. And he's laughing and all, like as if he was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
FA Cup like, fucking conference team.
He'd done something similar against Leicester. You know, before the international break, he gets the international cap. He literally has one save to make against San Marino, makes it. You know, he's starting to feel invincible after the first sort of 20 odd minutes, half an hour. And then he's like, the two goals, like, they're so savable. Like, you know, it just goes to show like that, you know, the cockiness, I think the cockiness started to build in across the whole Arsenal side. They got a sniff. And then obviously, between Ramsdale getting ahead of himself and Arteta's antics on the sideline, you know, that just flipped the script there and then for me. I mean, Lampard didn't. You know, Lampard. You got Lampard. You've got Arteta. I can't wait for Stevie G to have that moment with Klopp. That is going to be priceless if that kicks off in a few weeks. Where they're going at one another on the sidelines. I think Stevie will be a little bit too cute for that, but if it does, like, my God, like Anfield's going to erupt.
Honestly, right? For me, the Ramsdale thing is just. I don't understand it, right? Because the Arsenal fans literally had a wet dream over signing this fella from whatever fucking bumblefuck team that he played for before. And who was he playing? Like a Burnley or a Bournemouth?
No, he gets relegated with Bournemouth and he signs for Sheffield United. Then he gets relegated with Sheffield United.
Yeah. Absolute poison, right? Like basically they spent 400 million on Leno, Gick, right? They will go out and sign the English Leno. He's the exact same goalkeeper.
He's makes just a couple of light. Yeah, in terms of his attitude, he's just picked the light.
Few flashy saves and then just dives randomly. Literally dive randomly. I think. Sean's hit the nail on the head. He's Joe Hart too. That's basically what it is. Just fucking full of imaginary thinking. And the Arteta thing is hilarious. Like if I'm the manager going to Anfield, right? Even if I want to stab Klopp in the head, right? You just don't get involved because it's the wrong state. If he does that in the Emirates, it might work because he has his own home fans behind him and they all give him a big yay like that, right? Whereas he just gets laughed at. So basically you have a whole stadium not even caring now about the match. They're just laughing at you and you're meant to be the authority figure for the team. So when you're getting laughed at, it's just bin. It's like after that, the team itself you could see looked deflated after the whole incident, and the goal comes off the back of it. Like, and I'm not saying the
crowd had quietened down at that point. You know, we hadn't gone and blitzed them. We hadn't got off to the flyer. You know, I wouldn't say the crowd were grumbling, but it kind of. I've been there at 5:30 kickoffs. If you've had a few pints before, plenty of people have had gone in there, you know, absolutely buzzing, a few pints on them, sitting there from 5:30. It gets to about 6 o'clock, starting to wear off you a little bit. You're starting to get a little bit like, and then something like that happens and it just lifts you back off again. Do you know what I mean? And you're completely back in the game as a fan. And that was just catastrophic for them, I think. Really, really was.
Yeah, he loved us clap with a cop as well, didn't he? You know the way most keepers they don't really clap back anymore and they get the bill. But he was buzzing off that. Harry Ramsden.
Harry Ramsden is fucking shy.
Leo Bordock.
Leo Bordock was a much better goalkeeper. And so was Joey Beshoff. Anyway, Gav, since we're talking about forwards, you want to talk about the front three again? What are you going to say this time?
Go.
Replacing the front three.
No, it's not about. It's actually, look, we're going to have to replace the front three. At some stage, I'm not calling you. Relax, will you? It's not a case of me turning around and saying replace them all now. It's not that. What happened was we were talking about them last night, and it just came up, and I thought, yeah, we'll have a talk about this tonight. Come up briefly, and it's just what way will people like to see it go? Because look, at the end of the day, they don't all last forever. The three of them don't last forever. I put forward the motion that you would
the motion.
Well, yeah, there's a motion. There's a meeting. Should we have the minutes of it and everything?
Is there a union? Can we join this union?
Yeah, there's a video and audio file of it if you want to go and download or watch it. But I put forward the idea, our motion, whatever way you want to take it, that we renew. Oh no, I'll tell you what came up. It came up because Salah has 2 years left, Mane has 2 years left, and so does Firmino, right? So what come up, and the big thing at the moment is Mo Salah signing this deal, and we're discussing like what's going on. Like it's November, we're nearly in December, and you know it's not before long. You're down to 18 months, and we just got talking about the other two lads as well. They have
Mane not just renew?
No, Mane didn't renew. No, he didn't. They're all out.
Mane renewed in the summer.
They're all out in contract in the summer of 2022.
Fucking tell you, Mane renewed.
2023. Sorry, they're out here, right? So
Mane renewed his contract. I didn't imagine that. Chris texted me and said,
but you haven't watched. You haven't watched Liverpool news in 3 years. You renewed 3 years. I think he renews after the loss in the European Cup of 2018. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What I said was we should renew the three of them, right? And my thinking behind it is that instead of trying to bring in, instead of saying, right, he's going now, will he go in 2 years? My idea would be to renew them all, right? Now, Salah might go, you might do 3 years on Salah, you might do 2 on the other. But in that time, it gives you time to keep your squad really strong while bringing in probably one player this season and one player next season. And you're phasing them out, basically, without losing massive quality in the squad. Because my fear is that if Salah doesn't sign a contract, he leaves. Who do you bring in? And you're bringing him in to go, right, you need to get going right now because the backup isn't good enough, in my opinion, right? So I just wanted to see what people thought, because my argument would be renew the three of them, get them all on board for the next 3 years instead of 2, or 4 years instead of 2. I've no problem with that. But you then know that you have that quality in the squad for the next 3 years, and it gives you that bit of time to build that forward line again slowly, brick by brick. So Andy's nodding in agreement, which is fucking amazing. He's gone full circle. So I just wanted to see what you thought, because that's what I would do instead of trying to just go bang this summer, bang next summer, bang the summer after, and you're basically just swapping players out, if you know what I mean. Still have them three there. Bring in a player and you just do away with Origi. You do away with him and you go, this player is definitely in the front three in 2 years for Mane. But we still have Mane at the club. You're actually improving quality in the squad, but you're forward planning at the same time.
So we've 2 years left. We've 2 years left with Mane. 2023 his contract runs out.
Same with Firmino, same with Salah.
Okay, so the only one we need to renew is Salah.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
No, that's
the critical one, obviously. Yeah,
well, it is the critical one. But,
my
point is,
Jota's come in and he's been excellent. Well, whether you even want to call him second fiddle to Bobby now, at this stage, he's probably first choice. When Bobby got fit and he started playing really well, the two of them are battling out for that sort of number 9 position. Mane, it's not like I'm not no disrespect to Mane, but for the last couple of seasons, he hasn't been exactly what he was in terms of what he can do on his own. Yeah, he came up with a really good assist and a goal, but there was times when he was able to do a lot more on his own. You look back to the Bayern goal when he took it down, turned defender inside out, and unbelievable finish past nowhere. I don't think we're going to see that from Mane anymore. So this idea of the replacing the front three being so difficult, it's becoming that bit easier because the quality of Mane probably isn't quite there anymore. Salah's the critical one, but I think Salah's going to renew. And when you have the best player in the world at a club, it's always going to be hard to replace him. We're not going to be able to just replace him like for like. Klopp's a quality manager. He's going to come up with different ideas. We saw so many good players coming through now, like Elliot, who can play midfield and score goals. The team will change. The team will develop. I think sometimes we worry a bit too much about what's in front of us 2 years down the line. A lot can happen. January transfer window, next summer. I've absolutely no doubt that you start to see someone coming in to kind of take some minutes off Mane. But Salah's a different animal. He's the best player in the world at the moment by a long shot. And it'd be very hard to even anticipate trying to replace him like for like. But I think he'll renew.
Ray, like my view is that Firmino and Mane both have 2 years left. The key to this is Salah, and I'm based around the Messi experience at Barcelona. That Salah's levels and techniques are about 3 levels above the other 2 lads. As much as people probably, depending on what camp you want to put yourself in, would say it's amazing, blah, 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 all this type of stuff. But Salah doesn't necessarily rely on his pace to do what he does. It's incredible footwork and it's incredible vision, and he's able to do a bit of absolutely everything. Whereas I'd argue that Mane's level has probably stepped down, maybe 1 or half a notch from where he was maybe 2 years ago. And Firmino definitely...
On what basis?
On what basis? 2 years ago, you would argue that Mane and Salah were pretty much equal in terms of what they were delivering for us and what they were doing. There's no question anymore. Like Salah's miles ahead.
No, but I don't. Salah's just gone to different levels. Like the only player that scored more goals than Sadio Mane in this league this season is Mo Salah.
Yeah, but how many goals has Mane got?
7 and 12.
Yeah, shy.
Okay.
2 years ago, that would be 9 and 12.
Then.
No, 2 years ago, that's 9 and 12. And
he wouldn't. I don't think he's ever done 9 and 12 in the Premier League.
He has, because himself and Mo finished
the first 12 games.
Himself and Mo finished level golden boots 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so he scored at the same rate.
I think this is, for me. I just look around.
I know, but you want to renew, Gav. I'm giving you the opposing argument, which is
no. I would. No, listen, I'm renewing because I'm trying not to fucking jeopardize the quality of a squad, regardless of who the player is. But I'm just saying, a lot is being made of Sadio Mane's. It's last season. Let's be honest about it. We're talking about Sadio Mane's form last season, which wasn't good.
Well, last
season.
So last it was.
I'm not. But just
hang on a second. I know. Last season was a write-off. Last season was a stupid season. We're talking about records at home, like they're 10 games unbeaten at home. Last season was fucking ridiculous. They made 6 losses at home didn't happen as far as I'm concerned. They were at neutral ground. That wasn't at home. Like the last season was just ridiculous. Mane feeds off the crowd. But I think we're seeing a realistic version of Mane's decline now. Forget about last season. That was just atrocious. And I mean, it's a very bad measure last season to measure any player by. But this season, I think we're seeing a kind of a realistic drop-off in Mane. An expected one.
I think
this season.
The thing is, the gap between Mane and Salah has grown, in terms of, if you're gonna concede to lose and 1, then you clearly, there might have been a debate a couple of years ago. I don't think there's any debate now.
There certainly was.
I don't think there's a debate now. If it comes down to it, you do all you can to to secure Salah. And it's Mane who you don't necessarily prioritise. Personally, I would try and get both done. I think the Firmino Jota thing, they're kind of interchangeable in some ways now at this point. I would try, I try and do my utmost to secure both Salah and Mane. The thing is, if we do let Mane go, what's the cost of a replacement? And there's no guarantee that replacement, even if Skint FC managed to find 100 million, because let's face it, where's these 100 million players? We've not looked like we're in the market for in that range for at any point. I know we get linked with Mbappe and this, that, and the other. Like, we're not going out and signing those players. So, for me, we've got to prioritize keeping Salah and Mane. Salah is priority number one. The fella's a phenomenon at this point. Someone said it in the comments. I can see a couple of people saying, Salah's fitness, the way he's looking after himself, physically, is kind of akin to, the likes of Ronaldo, basically, in terms of, him getting into his 30s now is not a concern for me, because he's just going to keep on at these levels for a number of years. So Salah is priority number one. Definitely look to get Mane done as well. I really want to try and get another 3 years out of this forward line if we can. And look, we probably do need to make another signing, but it's probably going to be more in the range of maybe a 40 to 50 million with upside. Another one in the mold of Jota.
But can I just say something here? And this is where I probably differ. Immediately, if you say don't renew Mane, everyone's like, well, who are you going to replace him with? So you've got 2 years. It's 2021 now. You've got 2 seasons. 2023, his contract runs out, right? So you've still got 2 years left to go. He's going to be 33 at the time. So it's not like you're selling the 26-year-old version of Sadio Mane at that point in time. Odds will say that he won't be at the same level he was 2 years ago, or at the level that he is at now. And at that stage, it will be the right time for him to move on. Do we need 100 million? We shouldn't, because
there weren't 100 million in the first place. Mane,
correct,
Salah,
and also
Firmino,
Andy,
Jota, none of them were 100 million.
We will book a profit at that point in time, because we'll have seen it was full contract and all amortized, and you have loads more money to spend on things. Anyway, next point on that is, I would rather, if you're going to extend anyone of the front three, and people might think this is mad given that I have criticised him, Firmino is the one that I think hangs around the club and is happy to be part of the squad out until he's 34, 35, and then goes back to Brazil to see out another 2 years or so, because he's the type of player who we've seen, if he's missed 6 or 7 or 8 weeks and comes back in, he can still find the spots, he can still find the goals, and he isn't relying on his speed to do that type of thing. So I'm looking at the three players as players, and I think Mane relies on his speed and his pace more than the other two do, right? And I think for that reason alone, I'm not renewing Mane. If Firmino is prepared to do a similar contract or a lighter contract to what he has at the moment, renew away, and you throw all the money at Salah to make sure he stays. And then over the next 2 years, you bring yourself in, you start grooming in your Mane replacement. We groomed in our Firmino placement by bringing Jota in. Minamino, who knows? He's after coming on. He did a bit for us at the weekend. I thought he was very good when he comes in. But at the same time, people think it's crazy that you're talking about a player. But I'm saying you keep the trade for at least the next 2 years. Yeah. And the one you really look to move, the next upgrade or the next one to bring in is who your replacement for Mane is going to be. And by the time they come around, you've got Salah, the replacement, and Jota as your starters, and you've got Firmino as backup. Who would rather want Firmino or Origi to be sitting on your bench, to bring off the bench to play, or to step in for 10 to 15, 20 games a season?
This is where my point
comes. I'd renew. I don't think has anyone said they definitely wouldn't renew Mane? I mean, you just renew his contract, extend it by a year or two, and you blood in a successor, just a similar way to Bobby is with Jota at the moment.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Like, I think next season somebody comes in that probably starts taking some minutes off Mane.
But my whole thinking behind it is that if you extend them all, Salah you do 3 or 4 years wherever you can. But if you have to do the other two for 2 years, right? No one's saying they're staying for the 4. Nobody's saying that. All I'm saying is that instead of you looking to say, right, it's quite clear that I have this front three. Maybe Jota gets in somewhere, and the other two are just on the sideline hoping for something to happen. And they're probably not good enough at Liverpool, judging on the way they play. Minamino, you don't know, but I'd have my doubts, right? what I'm saying is that if you have them in situ, you can bring people in, and you can make, instead of you having the four lads that are vying for 3 places plus Origi and Minamino, you have those 4 lads, and you're bringing 2 lads in that are going to take over from these lads. You're improving the quality of your squad while keeping that quality, the quality already have there. It's probably the least way of upsetting the squad as you go. Do you know what I mean? There's not too many changes all at once, or one here, one there, and keep it going. And we're trying to do it over 3 years, and that's just why I thought you just extend them all. Now, don't get me wrong. If you extend fucking Mane to 2025, and he's going to be 33 at the end of that, or wherever he is in 2023, you're right, yeah. In 2023, someone might come in and go, listen, there's fucking whatever for Mane, and we go, yeah, do you know what? We're all right with the 5 instead of the 6 that we have, and let's do it. But I hate saying protect his value, because his value diminishes, and his value shouldn't matter after that many years at the club and what he's done for me. That's why I just think you extend them all. You future-proof the squad in quality, and it gives you more leeway to bring players in and blood them. Because if you don't, you're bringing players in, you're literally saying, listen, Mane is going out the door, you're now our left winger, and you better be fucking brilliant from day one, because if you're not, we're fucking bollocks there.
I think
that's
but I genuinely think, though, people forget that this club has a value, and if the player isn't happy to go in at that value, they don't renew. And the example I give you is Wijnaldum. Klopp wanted him to stay. The players wanted him all to stay. He wasn't prepared to take the contract that was on offer. He went. So look at Mane. If he's not prepared to take the contract on offer, he's going to go. I think Salah will be an exception, but I think Salah, Van Dijk, they're exceptions. They're freaks. They're freaks of nature. They're not. Nobody's comparable to them in their positions. And Gav, where I think you're a wee bit naive is that renewal always happens when there is a change, right? And I think keeping Mane at 33 won't be a sensible thing to do, because again, I keep going back to, he is more reliant on his pace than the other 2 are, and I think that's where you see a bigger drop off than the other 2 when it comes to performance wise. But I think we've got 2 years, we've got 2.5 years to bring a replacement in from now at the moment. The other part is Klopp will be gone. So will the players want to stay around when Klopp?
Well, the other thing is it's the club's outlook as well. Are the club happy? There's no chance of them being happy with. Well, I'd hope never being happy with Salah running down the contract. You want him to renew, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to get that done. That's priority. The other thing is the club's attitude. Are they happy to turn around and go, right, listen, but Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane are out of contract in 2023, and we're willing to let that contract run down. And we're not renewing, but we're not going to sell. We're going to let them run down and leave for free, and we're going to push the money up and replace them. And I don't think FSG will do that. I genuinely, I can't see them letting 2 players run contracts down, let them leave, and then go from there. I don't know what you're laughing at.
I do. But I think it's a good point then on what we're discussing, Ray. To talk about your piece, which is the squad, or the quality that sits within the squad, based on what we've seen, and based, obviously, I'll take it with the Champions League game coming up and us playing water boys and corner flags and fellas out of the stand and mascots and all, just because we can't be bothered to get anyone injured or to do what it is. So from my point of view, Ray, what did you want to talk about? I'm hoping that's where you want to go, or are you just going to do something boring about how shit is our squad? So what's got to
No, I mean, I guess Minamino coming off the bench and scoring pretty much straight away. It was just an example of, like, we are going to have to rely on some of these players who've been on the periphery for most of this season, and even sort of, in case of last season, I suppose. I mean, like, look, we've all got our reservations about squad depth, and it's really being tested in certain positions now, particularly in the midfield. But the reality is, we've got a packed, set of fixtures coming up. I think we're pretty much playing, Saturday midweek, all the way through.
I don't think we have a weekend off, or I think we have a week
midweek
off. I don't think we have midweek off till the middle of January. I think.
I fucking no idea what you're saying there, Sati. I didn't realize it was
Saturday. You know what I mean?
All right, yeah, got you now.
Yeah.
Big
so,
scouser.
like, basically, we're sort of like because we're still in that League Cup and obviously the Champions League, and if there's not any of that going on, we've got midweek games at Goodison Park and all that sort of stuff to look forward to. So the likes of Minamino, I know there's a lot of angst when Origi's name comes up, but these are the types of players who we're probably going to have to call upon for some minutes in the coming weeks. And in years gone by, players like this, they have their little moments and spells where they really have to kind of step in, do a job, and even go back to the likes of Makeda. I know it's the tail end of a season, but these are players who you've got to, they've got to come in and they've got to make a contribution. The midfield, we hope to see Curtis Jones back again sooner rather than later. You've got Naby Keita when he makes his appearance back. If you go back into the defense, Tsimikas now is, he's kind of, it's option 1 and option 1A really at left back now when it comes, when it comes to him and Robertson. And I think that's something to look at over the next few weeks. And then, can Nico Williams make some kind of, impression over the next few weeks, being very good internationally for Wales? Can he maybe get some minutes? And then the lads, centre back, Van Dijk's playing an awful lot of games at the moment. Is there going to be a time where he takes him out for a game or two? We obviously don't expect him to play against Porto, but will he be able to kind of rotate him over the next few weeks to make sure that he's managing, that those through busy period? So for me, I wanted to, I guess, ask everyone one player, I guess, who they would hope could maybe make a positive contribution over the next couple of months. For me, off the back of Saturday, it was kind of Minamino really, and seeing him kind of come back from the dead and, thinking that, okay, if we need to rely upon him for, 60 minutes or 30 minutes at some point over the next 6 weeks, then, let's hope that he can make a positive contribution. So that was really where I wanted to go with the whole squad conversation. Who would you lads look to see, step in and make a positive contribution?
Well, look, if you work from the back there at Liverpool now, we talk about squad depth and the drop off. We've got an excellent number 2 goalkeeper now in Caoimhín Kelleher. I think everyone can agree when he comes in, you trust him. He seems to be really good at his feet. He's a good shot stopper. He's learning from Alisson. And I mean, you have Alisson there, the best goalkeeper in the world. We're one of the best at the moment. You're asking about who you'd like to see. I think Nico Williams is starting to look like he's ready to step up and kind of offer something, to give Trent a rest. Just like on the far side of the pitch with Tsimikas and Robertson, two amazing options at left back. We seem to have centre back sorted out with the amount of players there. Like, those injuries seem to be a distant memory. In the midfield, we've 8 players or so for kind of 3 positions. It's just so unfortunate. So many of them are injured so often. It's a really hard one to control. You can't just sell forward them and bring in. It's a difficult one. I mean, that's where you want to see our players staying fit. That's where you want to see Elliott coming back in, Ox staying fit, Naby staying fit, and really starting to drum up a bit of competition in the midfield. But it's when you kind of go up front, that's when you really feel that Liverpool are vulnerable. If they did lose one of those players or 2 of those players for a prolonged period of time, especially with the AFCON coming up, that's when you really have to depend on Taki stepping up. I mean, he went off on loan to Southampton, done quite well. He never really did that wrong for us. You know what I mean? He didn't come in with big, massive expectations. But Klopp has probably said he'll benefit from a bit of Premier League football. Off you go to Southampton. It's worked out quite well because any minutes he's played now recently, like he's actually impressed. So, yeah, you start to wonder, is the squad that raw or what's the word? Like, they say our backup isn't as good as the other top sides, but when you see things like that happen and players coming in off the bench and Ox playing so well, it's probably not all that bad.
I've just looked it up there. We don't have a midweek off until between I think the 14th and the 27th of January, somewhere in around there. So
there might even be a semi-final.
Yeah, there could be a League Cup in there. Yeah. But I'm just looking at the fixtures before we go on to the squad. I think rest periods are going to be Porto this week. Milan coming up will be another one, and I think he throws the Leicester game. I think genuinely, because if you look at it, like the Leicester League Cup game is right on the periphery of that festive period, and like he has Milan, then he has Villa at home, and then he has Newcastle at home. He's away to Spurs, and then the 22nd of December, he has Leicester at home before he plays Leeds at home 4 days later. Leicester away, Chelsea away, all before the 2nd of January. I think that's where he's going to look.
When is the next time you have a real midweek game?
What do you mean a real midweek game?
We're talking about 2 Champions League games, which are dead rubbers now. You're talking about.
If you look at it now, he's
Porto game.
Right, so hold on, he's Porto on Wednesday. He has Southampton on Saturday. He has Everton away on the Wednesday.
When do we play
Spurs away on the Saturday. Then he's away in Milan. Home to Villa on the 11th. Home to Newcastle on the 16th. Home away to Spurs on the 19th. Home to Leicester on the 22nd. Right? So I think he's going to look to do something there. 26th home to Leeds. 28th away to Leicester. 2nd of January away to Chelsea. Then he's home to Brentford. And then you get a week off until we go away to Palace. So
that's great. Thanks for reading those fixtures.
Quite a few of them.
When's the next real midweek?
The
lads are saying Everton.
The next real midweek is Everton.
Yeah. So but there's quite
they're all
a few.
Real. They're all real, and they're all in midweek.
Yeah, okay, obviously they're real, Gav, but there's 3 out of those that until January that are very, very rotatable. There's going to be changes made for Porto, Milan, and there's going to be changes made for the Leicester game in the League Cup. So when you look at it like that, it's not this big, massive panic fixture congestion.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I can see him doing.
Is there not an argument though just to play everyone for the next few weeks and then just tell them all to take January off? Because we're always shite in January, no matter who's fit and who's available. So there's no point in worrying about January. Focus more on the next 2 months. Take January off. Don't even turn up for the games, and then come back at it hard in February.
Well, that's just not viable at all. But anyway, you're right, Andy. Like Porto, Milan. And then you could possibly argue Newcastle at home before the following week.
It depends what sort of form they're in, I suppose, doesn't it? With Eddie Howe and all that sort of stuff. They're a dangerous side. I wouldn't take any chances. I wouldn't take any chances in the league.
They're appalling, and I pray to God to go down. But anyway, looking at the squad itself, look, the Nico Williams thing has come up because he's played well for Wales, and I get that. But I'm not sure on him. I genuinely am. But you have to give Trent a rest. The key will Milner be back? Because if Milner's back, I think he gets the nod ahead of Nico Williams at right back. In midfield, it's just about keeping people fit. I know Milner's not far off.
Important that he's back, isn't it? Important that Milner's back because he gives you so much options.
Yeah. And then Henderson obviously comes on the other day. You're looking at Keita. We don't know. I'm sure somebody in the chat will tell us. And Curtis Jones has an eye injury that they're not saying much on. But if you can get them back in the next week or 2, you're looking good. I agree with Andy, though. I think Minamino's the big one. I genuinely do, for a couple of reasons. You can't run these forwards into the ground all over Christmas. You simply can't, and you'll have to. You will have to, because I don't think you trust Origi one bit. And, an injury here, an injury there, and, of course, the AFCON, Minamino's going to come into sharp focus for me during December and January, massively. And I'm delighted for him getting the goal the other day because it'll give him some confidence. But overall, I think there is a way of rotating. I think there's a way of writing off a couple of games in there, i.e. Champions League and the League Cup. People won't want to hear that, but there's bigger fish to fry and the amount of games we have. But I genuinely think midfielders fit and Minamino, and I think you might be all right because they're not signing anyone in January. They simply aren't.
Yeah,
I like that shout Origi against Everton next
week. Who would like to see? I would like to see Kelleher get game time because I think
he starts this week.
I think he's a smashing goalkeeper. I'd like to see if Joe Gomez is still alive, because I haven't seen him in months.
Injured.
Right.
Injured.
So, but I wasn't happy playing. I was hoping to see.
Oh, just to see
still
him.
alive.
Or maybe
Yeah.
hear him talk for the first time.
Yep. Be great to hear
Trent.
what he talks like. I'd be back in. Would you reckon I'd say he has like a Midlands accent, like if he was from Birmingham or something.
No, he's from London, I think.
For fuck's sake, that's shy. I'd be disappointed with that now. I was hoping to have a Birmingham accent like your man out of the young ones, the fella Neil. And then I would like to see Kanate get loads of games because I think it's important for him. He's the future of the centre back position.
He'll start Wednesday as well.
Yeah. Midfield, there's all these random regens that some fella came on during the week, Martin Green, the cousin of Mason and the Greenies, and he played and he was running around the pitch and that was exciting. I don't know. Yep.
He is a good player, and Carragher said he just needs a bowl of scouts into him, and it's funny. Waiting to see Tyler Martin in about 2 years. He's going to be a beast. It's gas because
for Rangers or Dunfermline or fucking Adrianians, you'll never see. He'd be like your man that played against Sunderland once and looked like he was a smashing player and then vanished into the ether. Was never seen again. It was French geezer, right? Damien Plessis, brilliant. And then just vanished, right? You never see him. He's like saying, lads talking about Nico Williams playing up forward because he played well for Wales. That's like playing fucking under 12s football. Anyone who's watching international football may as well just be like looking at ping pong on the television. It's pointless, right? And then try and fair that's close to top level football. Fucking bin.
Send him to Villa on loan. Stevie G will sort him, and he bring him back in a couple of years.
So Nico Williams has, as long as Joe Gomez is still dead, then Nico Williams better be able to play it right back because he's going to have to give Trent a rest at some point, right? So that'll be good. And then up front, Minamino's I actually don't want to see Origi playing, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like he offers nothing. And I'd rather see. He
actually get injured, didn't he? He got injured for Belgium, didn't he? He got his first start,
and I don't know how long, and then he injured himself.
Origi had his moment, and it's a lovely story, and he did wonders for us and everything like that. But it's like we should have moved on. He should have moved on. We should have moved on a long time ago, but he hasn't. So I'd rather say a young fella or something get a few minutes over Origi, who's a young fella who may get what was that fella's name? Mike Gordon or whatever his name was. Him. Play him. Yeah, him. I'd like to see him get a run with Minamino in terms of what's going on. All those lads. So I'd go with. There's not really many midfielders in the club, and I think but like we need Thiago to get minutes under his belt again. So he needs to carry a bit of the water in that instance. Fabinho, you don't overplay him because we don't need him going out for another 6-game stretch, which is what sometimes happens to him every now and then throughout the course of the season. And then Ox, it's time for Ox to step up and not get injured within 2 weeks. What's the story with Keita? How long is he fucking out for again?
Keita's a hamstring, I think. They're saying late December. I think
late December 2025, for fuck's sake. Absolutely pointless. The only ability that you need in football.
63, was it? No, it was late September.
The only ability you need in football is availability, and like this fella that's infuriated me because I was actually saying, Jesus.
I got a lovely hat today with Naby lad on it. It's gorgeous.
You can walk around with that.
Real warm.
All those cool hats, you got the Naby lad one.
Do you know what, Gav? In 4 years' time,
I got the orange and black VVD one as well.
In 4 years' time, you can walk around with that hat and people looking and going, "Who the fuck is Nabila? Like, was he a Russian player or something?"
Yeah,
because nobody would have a clue who he was, right? Anyway, that's about it. So I don't think there's many other players after that. Curtis Jones with the eye thing, that's a strange injury.
He got an injury in training, an eye injury in training, and they're literally just saying they're taking it day by day. So I don't know what happened there.
I think the biggest worry for me is we're relying on lads again, a bit like the centre back thing last year with Matip and stuff. We're relying on fellas who can't stay fit to save their life. So like Ox, like you just know, it's like you look at him and you say this could be decent in terms of what he did for us, and you just know that he's going to like fall down the stairs or fucking stretch his back, taking his bag out of the back of the boot or something like that. So, do you remember Jota played in that game against Midgetland last year? I know what Johnny's saying 2.5 million for a win the Champions League, wouldn't expect wholesale changes. If we haven't learned anything with the Jota injury last year against the Midgets, there's literally no point we don't deserve anything because that's not learning your lessons. We got ourselves into a position where we don't have to take these last 2 games seriously. Play fucking nobody. Play the under 21s. Play whatever it is.
You can't play. You can't really go near the 19s because they're playing in their version of the Champions League and they need a result. So you can't.
And I presume we've only got a limited registered squad anyway. So we can't go sort of.
Cade Gordon apparently can't play because he's not registered.
Right. You still have enough. You still have enough alternates. You can play Kanate. You can play Williams. I'm sure Williams is registered. You can play.
Although he wasn't on the bench at the weekend, which was a bit strange. I know he had a couple of big challenges. Was down for a while with one against playing for Wales, so on the bench. So you wonder if he's nursing a knock at the moment as well.
Is Cockwood born?
What's this show, Jason?
Just move on. Go on.
No, I want Jason to tell me what he's shouting on about there.
I know it's off topic. We don't deserve anything.
It's you know when you put that.
Oh Jesus!
Top red.
Honestly,
red 17, bottom red.
Jason, if you're really heading into this zone of I'm sick of build on success, I'm starting to turn on FSG. Do you know what to do, mate? There's a load of screamy channels that you'll find on YouTube. Go to one of them because they'll be screaming about it. Because honestly,
there's no bottom reds allowed on here. Andy has put an absolute wholesale ban on bottom reds.
It's 18-1 to the top reds and all. So
18-1.
Yeah. So
okay, right. Carry on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we're going to let them all off to the shouty channels instead. Right, where were we? My topic.
Sorry, I just seen something there. I put up on the screen. A detached retina is the talk around Quarters Jones. That's
insane.
Yeah, that
sounds very serious.
Gone for that's.
I mean, that's now just trip up to the air and you're back like with a patch and happy days.
Trev could give him an end of a patch.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the Trev.
You always worry, don't you, when particularly Liverpool,
he looks like Trev
on injuries.
Jay Whelan. Yeah. Do you reckon Jay? Maybe Trev Jay Whelan has the same. Maybe Jay has the same camera phone as Trev. Maybe it's a special filter that he has.
Impressive beard, though.
No, it isn't impressive. Like that beard is almost like a snorkel on the bottom half of his face, like a snorkel jacket. You know the ones that used to go up the top of your head and right down the bottom. And talk about snorkel jackets, lads. Steve Bruce for Manchester United manager. The circus continues at Old Trafford. It's fantastic. I don't know where to start. Like the Liverpool game was fantastic, but then what goes on after later on is just phenomenal. It's like I've never in my life, never, ever in my life, remember a manager getting sacked and then being forced to do an exit interview live on a channel.
It's like they sacked him and then signed them up to like a 3-series deal with fucking NBC. Like it's fucking mad. Like unreal.
And then he starts crying and everything in the interview. There was that. Then I'm perusing the media world in terms of what's going on, and Sol Campbell is out saying, give it to Steve Bruce. Well, surely he could do a job for 6 months. And then this evening, Brucey comes out and says he reckons he could do a good job as the interim manager if they just need somebody for 6 months.
Then Brian Robson chimed in and went, listen, they just need to go on a massive fucking bender and they'll be grand
for a few days and the lads will be grand.
Yeah.
But this is
Brian
bizarre.
not know that they done that. They lost 4-1 on Saturday and they all went out on the pitch. And then you know what I mean? And then wait till the next day to go, great to work under your boss and all this sort of shit. They didn't give a shit on Saturday night about them. They waited till Sunday. Hang over on it. And a 3-1 curry tray before they done their Instagram post.
I also love all these fake football fans who are like, and the Liverpool fans, supposed Liverpool fans going, he seemed like a nice bloke and it's so tough what's being done.
He was a little shy bag, is what he was. And that's the truth. Do you know what? Any Liverpool fan telling you that he seemed like a nice bloke, go back to when he was like, well, certain managers that I won't name are saying this about me, and certainly done it on numerous occasions about Klopp. He's not. He's a little fucking weasel, and he's welly heading him. And
he's got his comeuppance. He's got his comeuppance.
He's so far out of his depth, it's untrue. At the end of the day, right?
I'm devastated he was sacked.
At the end of the day, the simple facts around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is they sacked Jose Mourinho. They brought in an interim manager to look for a proper manager, and ended up giving the interim manager a long-term deal, right? Yeah. And then backed them with fucking 400 million quid, and he turns out he's shy, right? And they sacked him. That's the fucking end of it. Right, and all this, it's the board, and it's this. The only fucking thing they made a mistake was actually A, bringing him in as an interim manager, madness, and B, well, it was a PR job, and then B, giving him a contract. All this talk from, and I said this last night, Neville saying it's the board and it's this. Get a fucking grip yourself.
The pressure that those ex-players
wasn't good enough.
I also think it's great that Ed Woodward has said that he's going to hang on now to make sure that they get the right manager.
Well, there you go. I'll tell you why.
Fantastic.
Because the key to all this, and I keep telling you, the key to all this is they want to find somebody that will come in, not rock the boat where they're taking a shitload of money out, and keep them in top four. That's all they want. They don't. If anything else becomes after that, that's fucking grand. They'll take it, but they don't give a shit. And that's where I understand United fans going, they don't give a bollocks, and they're not happy. I'm completely okay with that. But do not sit here and anyone and tell me that it's the owner's fault because Solskjaer isn't good enough. No, it's not. It's his fault because he's not fucking good enough. It's as simple as that. He wasn't good enough, and he should. How he lasted that long was fucking amazing. We had such a good time watching.
Oh yeah. See,
their
biggest problem was winning that. Their biggest problem was that comeback in Paris a few years back, wasn't it? That
I seen a tweet today. I seen a tweet today, right? A fella, and he wrote, "Ole, thanks for thanks for that mad run game in Paris, that mad force run, that mad away run, making it feel like the Fergie days again." And I was like, "Is this fella on fucking drugs?"
Like, can I?
It's absolutely. I could go on about this for fucking hours because it's absolutely. It's fucking deplorable stuff that's coming out about this.
Right? Can I ask you? Right? Would you feel upset if Brendan Rodgers gets the job?
He is nailed on, in my opinion, for it.
No, he's not. He's actually.
I heard.
If I'm telling you that, if Manchester United turned and said to Brendan Rodgers, "Will you take this job?" he will be there like a light in the suit with the big mad crest that they have on their suit, right? Wherever it is, they have a big mad crest that they always wear in this suit and the tie on, and he'd be standing there getting pictures taken Old Trafford, telling you about it's an institution, and he'd be naming all the players and managers that used to be there. I'm fucking telling you, he will be gone like that. No doubt about it. And he's the ultimate yes man that they would want.
They won't stop. They just won't. It's too soon. I know it's probably about 7 years since he's managed this, but it's still too soon. Like, I just can't see it. They'll go all out to try and get Poch.
And if you are Poch now and you're sitting there on the massive bag that he has at PSG, and with all these players, Messi, the works the whole lot, right? What would attract you to the United job?
I think, but you know what? I'd say he wanted that United job. I think he stayed out of a job for long enough for United to come and get him, and they didn't. And he's gone off, and he's got the PSG job, and he has that job there for the next couple of years. It is possible. Like, I mean, at PSG, well, you're gonna have to win the league. I mean, that's just a given. But then the little bit of overachieving is to go and win the Champions League. I'd say he's safe there for another Champions League this year and next year. Why would he go to United? United are in a really, really poor position. Any manager kind of in a good job, like, and who's doing reasonably well, like Poch, shouldn't be going there. The board are rotten. There's still so much work there to be done. You can kind of, it would destroy Poch's momentum. You know what I mean? He's came out of the Spurs job. I don't know what.
I'm going to ask you a question genuinely, because the fella hasn't won a
career.
trophy. Can't win a trophy.
Did he not win the
Can't win a PSG.
PSG won the league, did he not?
No.
Okay. He says he seriously did not win a trophy then, yeah?
No, he didn't win the league last season.
And he's not there since the season before?
No,
that was his first season.
No, yeah, that was his fourth season. Yeah, well, look,
they're 11 points clear in the French league at the moment.
Yeah.
After 14.
On top, but anyway, look, I'm talking about
Champions League. They were close last season,
Yeah. I'm talking about his career momentum anyway. It would be a bit of I think it would be a bit of a step back to go to United. if he wins the league with PSG this season, another good Champions League season, and they fuck him out, he probably will pick up a Real job or something like that. To go to United now, nah. I don't think he should.
I don't think he should, but because I think they're a mess. Not only the squad they have, I think the squad they have is quite good, but
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. But I think the whole setup at that club and the motives of people at that club, and not only the motives of people at the club, the motives of mouthpieces in the media towards that club, and you know what I'm fucking talking about. The motives of those people is not a good scenario to go into. It simply isn't a good scenario to go into, because I've never seen anything like it, where the media is basically trying to control what goes on at Manchester. And I mean control, not make shit up and cause a frenzy and clicks and all. I mean literally are trying to control what goes on at Manchester United. And the setup for me at United, talking to United fans, is appalling from top to bottom. And he could go in and he could become a saviour there. If he get it right, he gets the money, he gets the team right, and he good. But I'm telling you, he'd be mad. And I'll say it again. Any big manager looking at that now, I genuinely think are looking at Liverpool going, is that fella going in 2 years? Because if I take the United job, I'm not getting the Liverpool. And I genuinely believe that.
Pretty toxic, isn't it?
Sorry, right. This is where I want to get onto, right? How do we avoid ours being a one and done and turn into more of a sustaining piece of work? Because it took us so long to get to a point where we were a serious team again. It's taken us the guts of 30 years to get back to being a serious team again. I know we've had instances with Rafa and with Houllier and with Roy Evans before that, but we never had sustained brilliance that we have under Klopp. And I've said this many times. I want us to win another league title under Klopp, because I think if he doesn't, there would still be that question mark over his time with Liverpool, which there shouldn't be. But this is what I say. But how do we organise this? Because from the outside looking in, I think that your man Ferguson still has way too big a voice. And if you go back to when Shankly packed it in at Liverpool, he ultimately got barred from being at Melwood, because they just didn't want them. They didn't want them around it, because they just felt that the influence was too big at the time. And for the new manager that was there, he needed to have a clean slate and full control in terms of what's going on. And you look at us, and if Klopp is valid to what he's saying, we're gonna. The pattern looks like we're going to lose probably the keyest member under the whole FSG thing, which is Michael Edwards, because he's the fellow who's been discovering these players along with his team, and they put this other guy in charge. So there's almost like, and I hate to say it, but it does look like they've tried to develop a succession plan. They have promoted a guy called that Julian Ward guy into the position, rather than going out to look for somebody, right? And does it not point to that they already have Klopp's successor, or who they feel Klopp's successor is already in-house, to try avoid this fucking circus that's gone on at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I presume you're referencing
Linders
there, yeah.
Linders or any of them. Like, no, I'm just.
But that's what it'll come down to. It comes down to, you hit the nail on the head there. It's about succession planning, from the management point of view, also from the squad point of view. You were talking about Salah earlier on. You've got to nail down the core players. We've got to continue to get the best years out of these players, and not have them move on before their time, sort of thing. So we need to continue on with the likes. You think about the cornerstones of this team. I say squad. I wouldn't even say squad. I'd say the team. The likes of Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, Salah. I'd argue. You've got to continue to. Even Mane to an extent. Midfield's a bit of a wobbly one, because your captain is someone who's maybe on a bit of a sort of a gradual decline now. I think the midfield, how we succession plan in that midfield over the next few years is going to be pretty critical, because we've got depth. Yeah, we've got 8 players there, you would say, from a rotation point of view, but we haven't got like a real kind of heartbeat like a Stevie G, for example, who you would say he's going to be there for the next 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So it all comes down to succession planning from a management point of view, and from a squad and the spine of this team's point of view. The downside of a dynasty someone like a Fergie or even, maybe a Wenger or someone like that. When you have a manager that's been around and is kind of like, even when they leave, there's a shadow or a void left there. It's very hard to get back to that. And I think in some ways, if Klopp only stays around for a relatively short period of time, I say relatively short, if he's only around for, say, 8 years, 9 years or whatever, and the succession planning is there, I feel a lot more confident that we could sustain success more than having having the problems that, United are encountering post Fergie, you know what I mean? And they're constantly trying to scramble for that kind of same kind of recipe. That's why they got hung up on, we brought back the great times with, what it was like when Fergie was here. They're just stuck in that mindset of that was when we had the success. So we've got to get as close to replicating that as possible. So, I think we've got to get, for me, we've got to get at least one more league in the bag in the next 3 years, because if we don't, we're going to really regret it. I think we've really got to get another league in the bag.
I wouldn't be comparing Liverpool's planning for Klopp or anyone else's departure to Manchester United. I think it's absolutely night and day.
Yeah.
There's no planning going on there, Phil. There's genuinely no planning going on there. Like, the only planning going on at that club is how they keep that ship sailing the way it is, i.e., what money can we take out of that club every season, and how do we do it without rocking a boat? And that is all the planning they have. Look, the Glazers bought it on a loan, put the fucking debt on the club, are paying it back, still have 500 million of debt sitting on that club. They've taken supposedly 1.5 billion out and sit on a 3 billion quid asset, which will be worth 2.5 billion. They'll make 4 billion quid over 20 years out of this club if they sell them. Right? There's no planning going on there. Right, and the actual thing is, a plan might actually hurt them, because I've seen people say, and I think Kev said it last night on the Fatback 4, get Van der Sar in, right? He knows the club, but he's a really good sporting director at Ajax, and then take Ten Hag from there as well and put them in place and let them bed in and be the new face of Manchester United. The issue you have there is that they're close friends, they're close associates, they probably have the same idea on football. If Ten Hag decides that something at Manchester United isn't right, i.e., I don't have enough money, and Van der Sar is of the same belief and goes to the club, you're going to end up with an eternal war at the club, and they don't want that. They want everyone just look away now while we're doing what we're doing. And Liverpool couldn't be any different. Like, that guy that's come in, I spent a year with Edwards, known it inside out, absolutely inside out, and he's just literally handing the baton over to him. The same will happen with Klopp and others that leave.
Okay, so I guess then the fear for me, Gav, because we've all seen succession plans at various different places, and this is not a slight on Liverpool, right? But they don't always necessarily work out.
No,
just
100%.
Because the guy has sat in and watched Michael Edwards do the job doesn't mean that he's as capable as Michael Edwards at doing the job. I've seen people rubbish Michael Edwards in the chat, fucking stupidity in terms of the comments that are going on. And there's a reason why FSG value him too highly, and we've got this squad because of what he's been able to put in as part and put the structures in place. That's why he's a sporting director and has been promoted across the last 12 years at the club to where he is today. I see somebody then said boot rooms don't work anymore. There's a reason that stopped working in the early 90s. That's an interesting concept.
No, but it didn't. The boot room was broken.
Yeah,
by bringing Souness in.
The second part, and the other part is, Andy, if you want,
Hillsborough and what happened with Kenny and his falling out with football broke that. I mean, they didn't have time to put the plan together for the next generation of Kenny's career at Liverpool was cut short, and they had to bring in Souness. And then when Evans came in, it was like the boot room was back, but the chain was broken at that stage. You know what I mean? And that's sort of planning. And when you talk about United doing it and planning from within, like it's too late now because the chain is broken. This should have been planned years before. Everybody knew Fergie was going to have to retire. He was getting no younger. And Fergie left United with an aging team, and I think he identified himself, Moyes, as a successor. And we're looking at Moyes now, and he probably wasn't a bad successor, but maybe Moyes should have came to United a couple of seasons beforehand if you were properly planning. Now, like in a fantasy world, right? In an ideal world, Pep Linders takes the reign of Klopp, but he has to be capable. Like we don't know whether he's capable yet.
Andy, can I just on that, right? The other point, there's another point on that as well about that the built room thing doesn't work. Blah blah blah. That was 20 years ago. It was the 90s. Yeah. We've just witnessed 20 years of domination by one team in Europe, and that's Barcelona, and that's effectively the same thing.
They did it.
We've heard about the Masia and the whole thing that was in place. That was their boot room. That was their version of the boot room. And if it lasted, if we can get 20 years out of it, right, I'll take it. That gives us another 15 years of great football and successive football and succession to keep coming with it. And if it means, I don't like how it's ended at Barcelona is horrific, but up until then, that's where we got it, right? And then you want to look at teams that put succession plans and are always considering what's the next step, and they always like to promote from within and build from within. Bayern Munich, they've dominated the league and they've dominated everything for donkeys. And even
look
Ajax.
What's happened. Look what's happened to Barcelona since they broke their chain.
Yeah,
you know, since they changed their model and start buying players and just quick fixes, patches over what they were doing before, what they were doing so well. Klopp has brought the whole club together in the one place, and they're all playing club football from the kids up now. Mm-hmm. You should be able to bring in some of the best talents across the world in as 15, 16-year-olds. And this is your succession planning. Like, if people write off FSG saying that they just want to increase the value of the club and sell, like these kind of things are mutual. You know what I mean? They cross over. You know, they increase the value by winning trophies. They increase the value by saying to a potential buyer, "Look what we have for you here. Here is an opportunity for you to grow the value of the club even more." Not bring it to a point where it can go no further that, oh, look, we've lovely shiny things, but now we're cashing out. Like, we'll benefit from FSG's model where they want to increase the value of the club by making it. Anyway, look, I would love to see Pep Linders take over from Klopp, because I think it's the ideal scenario, and then the next guy in after him. But we just don't know whether he's capable at the moment. But I think if Klopp was to give him his blessing, I think he'd be leaving Liverpool in safe hands. I don't see Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool in the mess that Fergie.
Hopefully not. And Fergie should have left when he wanted to go the first time around. And if Klopp sticks to what he's planning to do, then so be it, because all he did was delay the inevitable. In fact, United probably would have been in a stronger position, but thank fuck they didn't, and thank fuck they've gone the route they have, because I want to see that the Moyes continue. And until they're in the 4th division of English football and we can just really laugh at them, and Gary Neville can play against them with Salford, FC, City, United, whatever the hell they're called, then we can
the team will probably be made up of all the friends that Ollie made during his time as well.
Well, they're all great friends. We all make friends. And remember, we will continue to dominate as soon as the Mafia take us over in the summer, because we have lots of money then, lots of different money from all around the world, which is a great job altogether. Gennaro Savastano at the top of the tree. Right, that's been the forum tonight. Thanks for all the comments that have come back in. And thanks for all the input, and thanks for loads of not the input. Some of the inputs were really shit that you sent into us, but we like to have interaction because that's what makes this good. Remember that if you want to go out on the piss with United, just give Brian Robson a buzz. He's organising a piss up with the lads at the weekend.
Or email Harry Maguire.
Yeah, email Harry Maguire. And I think Terry Venables is going in as an advisor to Brian Robson on the piss up with the lads to make sure that they can all point.
He'll be there, but he won't actually be there. But he'll definitely be there.
Just hanging around the jacks as you go. Veranda cheese. I take it Phil wants to go to bed. No, Phil has to go and feed the baby. It's
his nipples are starting to leak.
It's starting to leak. have to tease them out now. Get the pads out and clean it all off. Lads, it's 24th century. Everyone can breastfeed. Anyway, right, that's been the forum. I've been your host, Phil Casey. Beside me has been Ray Dicko from the Swamp. Above him,
Derby week next week.
The Derby week, whatever that means.
Mute those WhatsApp groups.
And then above him has been Andy Young, and beside Andy Young, of course, has been Gav, and that brings me around to me. That's been the crack. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. Gav, when is football in the world on again? Thursday. And seriously, everyone let's listen here. Stop looking at the Daytrippers and just go watch football in the world. It's the best thing around.
Fuck off. No, watch them both. Watch them both. It's something completely different to what we're doing here. It's completely different, but it's
It was, yeah, it's completely different. Lads talking
we've a
about football.
belting show
Anyway.
coming towards you, by the way. Belting.
I think we moved the forum onto the football in the world. It's great. We could talk about loads of things.
People don't know what football in the world is. People are going, where the fuck is this football in the world stuff? It's not called that. But I don't know. We might make a show called Football in the World over somewhere.
If I can, we'll use the Where in the World theme tune for it. That'd be the best ever.
That actually will be what probably do a remix of it.
Yeah, with Theresa Lowe.
Anyway, who sang? There was no singers on that, was there? Could we get one of the Nolan sisters or something to do something? Yeah, I'm gonna go and look that out now.
Andy can just sing
Andy could do the theme tune.
Yeah.
So it's been a dream, it is.
Yeah. We get the keyboard.
Just a break I needed, just to freshen things up.
Okay.
Right. That's been the show. Thanks to everyone in the comments. We'll see you all next week. Good night. God bless.